Hello, this is Victor with a new tactical talk, and this is the time to talk about the Warlords in 40k. So Warlords are becoming more strategic in 6th edition, as are they giving 1 point if they are killed. This means that in some missions, like in the Relic or like in the Emperor's Will, they can give the point that is making the difference between losing the game or winning the game. So it's very important we think twice when we are taking over Warlord and when we are making the list. So from my point of view, there are three strategies or three main groups of Warlords. The first is the one that is a beast in close combat. So nobody can defeat him in close combat, and he will slaughter the enemies in close combat. The second one is the support Warlord. Can be supporting by shooting, can be supporting by using psychic abilities, or can be supporting by having some special skill or abilities. And the last one is, I don't want to take a Warlord, so I take the minimum points and the lowest cost in value Warlord. And these three types of Warlords will drive to different strategies when we are playing. So let's start with the close combat Warlord. So this is a Warlord that is equipped to slaughter your enemies in close combat, so it should have a quite high defense and also a very strong close combat abilities. For example, a clear example of that can be the Bloodthirster from the Demons, or a Demon Prince from Chaos. Also from Tyrannids, a lot of the HQs are very good in close combat. In Dark Elder, in the past we used to find the Archon with the Shadow Field and Agonizer, and now with the weapon that have AP2. So there are several ways of this type of Warlords, but what we have to take into account, doesn't matter how strong are you in close combat. If your enemy is shooting you and is paying the attention to your Warlord, he will die sooner or later on the battlefield. So that means when you are playing this type of Warlord, you have to have a strategy to also kill your opponent Warlords. At least you will be parity in victory points. If you're not able to do that, you will be in disadvantage, because almost 90% of the times this type of Warlords die on the battlefield. I personally like this type of Warlords, and I use a lot in 5th edition, but now in 6th edition is a challenge, because this point, depending on the mission, can be the difference between winning or losing the game. The next type of Warlord is the one that is used to support your units. An example can be, for example, the Farseer from the Eldars. So he's using his Sacred abilities to boost other units. There are also other Warlords that can give skills that are boosting the units around him. So these Warlords are much safer and are the most used today in 6th edition, because they can be kept at the backward of your army, out of the main battle, and keep boosting, and you can make use of his points by boosting some of your units in shooting or sometimes even in close combat. So when you are taking this type of Warlord, it's safer. Most of the times you can make it survive the battle, but you have to be very lean when you are equipping him, and not use strong close combat weapons, because most of the time he will not use his equipment, because this Warlord is there to help the other units and to boost the other units. So if this Warlord is going in close combat, he will die quite easily compared to other Warlords. So it's better to keep it inside of a bunker behind your lines and just supporting, and you don't need to spend a lot of points in equipping this Warlord. And the last type of Warlord is, I want to spend the minimum amount of points possible. For one example can be, for example, an Inquisitor. Inquisitor is 25 points. I put the Inquisitor 25 points, and I don't equip him, I don't put anything else to him. So I just use the Warlord to have one on the battlefield, and I don't use anything else from that. So for very cheap points, you can have a Warlord. Not all armies can do that, and of course, this Warlord is not going to do any type of role during the battle, just being at the backward of your army, being protected by your units, and just try to save the point by giving the victory point on the Warlord. I use this type of Warlord when I'm playing low points battles. For example, when I play Grey Knights, I can have a Inquisitor just with Power Sword, for example, or with any type of equipment, and I keep him at the backward of my army, safe from the enemies. Here the weakness is if your enemy is doing deep strike or is outflanking, your Warlord can be under threat, so you have to foresee this or see this in front of your enemy and be prepared and take strategies in case your enemy is deep striking or flanking. Of course, here I put the example of the Inquisitor, but if you take the Inquisitor and you put him psychic powers, then he can also boost a little bit the units around him with, for example, with divination. So this type of Warlord can have also some extra abilities that can help on the boosting, but it's not going to be as strong as can be a Farseer or, for example, the Faith Weaver from Demons. So when you are doing your army, think twice what is going to be the role of your Warlord on the battlefield. And what I would recommend, if you want a real strong guy in close combat, take a second Warlord or a second HQ that is going to be used as Warlord, and in that way you can save the points and then use this strong guy for the close combat. For example, in Grey Knights, you can take Inquisitor, use Inquisitor as your Warlord, keep it at the back, and you can use another a strong Grey Knight in close combat. In that way, if you're losing your HQ in close combat, it's not giving the Warlord point because your Warlord is at the back. But you have to remember, the Warlord should have the same or highest leadership than the other HQ. So, and that's all what I wanted to explain on the Warlords. Take into account what is the role of your Warlord when you are doing your list. And that's all for this video. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and see you again later. Bye!